Pisces, welcome to your mid-October 2018 astrology and tarot reading. So Pisces, the first thing I want to get out of the way is I want to talk a little bit more about Venus in retrograde. Venus retrograding in the sign of Scorpio, which is your 9th house. Now, we've talked a lot in my readings the last year, nearly, about Jupiter being in Scorpio and how this has been a very enhancive influence for Pisces in terms of travel, in terms of expansion, like expanding the way you think about things, spirituality. Maybe some of you are actually new to the whole astrology thing, the tarot thing. It's kind of like fish in water for Pisces to be interested in spirituality, your 12th house energy. And this has been very enlightening in the 9th house realm. So higher thinking, higher knowledge, higher education, and travel may have been something that a lot of you got to do over the last year with Jupiter there. So there were lucky instances of relocation, lucky instances of foreign lands and foreign experiences. And it's very, at the moment, divinely linked to your romantic life. So, you know, to have Venus, planet of love, in your 9th house in retrograde, of course, can bring people back from the past, particularly if they live in a different country or they're from a very different culture. One thing I want to mention about this 9th house energy, if that seems very alien to you, if you've not experienced romance with somebody, say in a holiday sense or in a different country while traveling, or someone from a different background, 9th house energy is expansive in the sense that this may be somebody who thinks very differently to you, someone with a very different religious background. A lot of this Venus retrograde cycle is going to be to do with opening and expanding your mind to different opportunities and a different way of seeing things. It's not a time to be closed-minded, Pisces. And the full moon in Taurus in your 11th house of friendships and social networking may be quite an enlightening moon for you if you are, you know, thinking of making new friendships or running in a different circle. It might be one of those times where you realize your friendship group has shifted, or it may draw you attention to someone in your friendship group who's actually going through a bit of a hard time. You may become aware of somebody else's circumstances. Maybe under the Jupiter transit, you have been living it up in certain ways, and because Jupiter is very jovial, and to have it in a fellow water sign is very lucky and very auspicious. And you may have missed something, or somebody may be reaching out to you to rely on you for certain, because Pisces is a good listener, somebody may be depending on you to help them in some way. And I want to draw attention to this because yesterday was also Mental Health Awareness Day, and I think for Pisces it's important not only to look after your own, but to bear in mind you may be missing, you know, someone might be very worried about something and they might want your help. So just in terms of the full moon, be very open to listening to a friend if they are going through a hard time, because someone's outpouring of emotion may surprise you under this moon. So let's see what goddess guidance card we have for Pisces to symbolize the final 2 weeks of October. Oh, come back. Okay, so we have abundantia, prosperity. The universe is pouring its abundance out to you. Be open to receiving. Well, that's nice. That's a good message, Pisces. So get into the real deal and see what we've got going on for you guys. For Pisces. Also, the sun enters Scorpio, so that 9th house energy of travel and expansion and philosophy is heightened, Pisces. This could be, I actually think in terms of luck with Jupiter, I feel like Pisces has had one of the better runs. And especially if you are the type of person who likes to do 9th house activities such as travel or read or embrace new education, whatever's happened to you in the last year in those areas is actually to benefit you, even if it maybe didn't seem so, if it's not as overt. But there's going to be a conclusion to that side. Jupiter is leaving that side of the sky for you and moving into your 10th house in November. So you'll be ready to batten down the hatches, Pisces. Some of you might be having a bit of a brush with fame. But until then, we're going to we're going to stick with October, I think. Let's see. Now I'm going to change the camera angle so that you can see the cards and not me, but until then I'll just get the cards out. So some of you could be dealing with a Gemini person, because the cards are doing this thing they do when Geminis appear for me, where they split equally. So usually symbolizes a Gemini in the equation. Page of Wands. Six of Pentacles. What's helping you is the Hierophant. Came up for Scorpio as well, actually. What's challenging you is the Page of Cups. So you might be getting in your own way on something, and the outcome is the Knight of Wands. So yeah, there is a person here specifically, definitely a fire sign energy, which seems to follow a lot of Pisces people around. I don't know what the link is there. But it could be a Leo, Sagittarius, Aries person, or at the very least, it could be somebody who's quite outgoing. This could also be a shift in residency. As I say, this typically represents someone from a different country, someone who's very adventurous. It can mean you relocate. It's always come up for me when I'm relocating. My rising's Pisces, actually. That's the forefront of my mind. So this is an interesting energy to have whenever everything is moving into your 9th house. The Knight of Wands is pretty specific. Bear in mind the 9th house is also Sagittarius, so this could be a Sagittarius person. And underneath we have the Empress. So this is pretty generous energy coming out for you this remainder of this month, Pisces. So I'll talk to you in a second. Bye. Okay, Pisces. So this is looking a lot like there is one specific person's energies coming through in your reading. In terms of this person that is at the forefront of your mind or the forefront of your energy, it could be, as I said, Knight of Wands. Somebody who could be either a fire sign personality, sun, moon, or rising, or they could be somebody from a different country. This could be somebody from your it could be a past person. I do have to say that in all the readings with Venus retrograding. And I also notice a growth here from a page to a knight. So I feel like in the past, maybe they were a page personality and they've come through as someone's older. So I think maybe this is an evolution of a person. Interestingly enough, the Knight of Wands and the Hierophant, which is serving you, are sort of contradictory energies. The Knight of Wands typically appears for energies of people that are in and out of your life. They're not so stable. The Hierophant, ironically, is coming through as a stabilizing force. So this could be somebody, as I said, that you've learned a lot of life lessons from. Somebody that has taught you something specific about yourself or about the world. The Hierophant is typically more to do with organized structures, as I say, religion, a certain way of doing things, your moral values. So you really are having a period of assessment of who you are as a person and what your values truly are. Ironically, what's struggling here is the Page of Cups. So there could be a certain problem with romantic conversations or communications, obvious enough under the Venus retrograde energy, as indicated by the Empress here, but there is a generosity coming in. The sole focus of the energy is the Six of Pentacles, which is the give and take between two different arenas. Now, as I say, two different arenas. We have the Knight of Wands, which is the adventurous, carefree energy, and then the Hierophant, which is more stabilizing. Very different energies. So for some of you, I sense that you may have committed yourself to a certain way of living, a certain way of doing things, a certain perception on a situation. You've committed yourself to it strongly, and you're, as I say, you're supposed to be remaining very open-minded under 9th house energy, but you might have decided a certain way of living or a certain lifestyle is exactly what it is for you, and you can't see any other way around that. But the Knight of Wands comes in asking you to be more carefree, be more open to changes. Being open under a retrograde energy is very important because it means it's less of a struggle if things seem to be tough. During a retrograde period, it's important to have faith in the bigger picture and have faith in the greater outcome, because it can challenge you quite significantly, especially if this is somebody or something that remains in your energy that broke your heart. Could be a fire sign, could have been somebody that was involved with somebody else. I have to point that out with the Three of Swords, but please bear it in mind. Three of Swords can represent multiple things. It can represent, of course, the typical third party that everyone's so fond of discussing in tarot for some reason. but a third party can be a person or a job or a city, or, you know, like something that gets in the way. It's basically an obstacle. And it's so big that it's known as a third party. So this doesn't have to be a person. Can be, obviously. But for a lot of you, you're dealing with a blockage, like something that blocked this person from you. It could have been themselves. They could have blocked this. But there could also have been some sort of disappointment for some of you in work. I'm sensing with the page here, because pages can bring messages of work. There may have been bad news in a work situation, but it'll be either or. This could be somebody in the past that really hurt you, and you're maybe actually hoping for communication from a person specifically, or you're hoping for news that grants you some sort of a financial gift, like a loan or something. You're waiting for a letter regarding this. I feel like some of you are waiting for a communication specifically. It might actually be waiting for an answer. So you might be waiting for an answer from the universe, and you might have been waiting for quite a while to get it with the Four of Swords here, but this is in the positive position. Just so you know, Pisces, the delays have been in your favor. King of Pentacles as a challenge. So some of you are maybe dealing with a challenging water sign or an earth sign. It could still be the fire sign. It'll be different signs for different people. It'll be different energies for different people. But I do think some of you are struggling in terms of a career role. Maybe you feel like you're a King of Pentacles in your career and you're being treated like a Page of Cups. You're being treated as somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, somebody that's too new to make decisions, somebody that shouldn't have a say. There could be a condescending boss. It could be a condescending workforce, corporate. This is very much to me, you know, when you're struggling with the rat race, a King of Pentacles and the challenge, corporate problems, not feeling like you're in your correct place, maybe. Oosh. Saucy. The Devil. So what's underneath? The Ace of Cups. Yeah, there's definitely some of you having some trouble in your career in terms of being underestimated. I think a lot of you are dealing with a personality force that's very domineering, whether this could be work or it could be love, but a very domineering force. It could be a Capricorn, but it doesn't have to be with the Devil. I think it's sometimes unfair to branch Capricorns all into the Devil territory. But Pisces, one of the things most typical of a Venus retrograde period is when somebody walks into your life that's overtly tempting, but they're not necessarily long term. So I think with the Hierophant here, Hierophant, whatever you want to call it, in your positive position, because this is so conflicting with the Knight of Wands. With the Four of Swords, you might want to wait for any conversations about commitment, whether it's to your job, whether it's to a partner, whether to someone you're recently dating. Wait it out. Don't talk about it until Venus has gone direct. That's typical in the astrology books anyway. But the reason this is coming up as a real reason not to do that is because the Devil and the Knight of Wands means there could be somebody who's a little bit more like a bachelor or a bachelorette, someone that's not very they're not necessarily Hierophant material, at least not right now. So I'm not saying you can change a person or whatever, but this is definitely not the time to ask whether it's because they're not right, it's not the right time, or it's because they're not that way inclined. I do think there seems to be somebody here who's a bit commitment phobic in terms of somebody you're dating. Maybe somebody gives you mixed signals, somebody who's there may actually be someone who's a little bit obsessive towards you, Pisces. And that might be frightening you a little bit in terms of how strong they're coming on. Maybe you want to be carefree. Maybe they want to offer you a commitment and you don't want to be anything other than single at the moment. There does seem to be a push and pull between the energies. And I sense this could be somebody new for some of you. So maybe you're dealing with heartbreak from the past. You don't want to commit just yet and someone's being a bit full on. Or it could be you want them to be more full on and they're not being. I feel like there's a push and pull. Oop. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, the Knight of Swords, the air energy keeps coming through. So that could be somebody, actually, the Knight of Swords, who's returned and maybe they've not necessarily changed. And then there's somebody new. Temperance. No, you're healing from an old love. You're healing from a heartbreak for sure. But temperance can also mean reconciliation between water and fire. Just so you know, it looks like somebody's reaching out, in my opinion. Kind of expect this from a lot of the cards, but we'll see what else is there. 5 of Cups. 8 of Swords. And the Queen of Wands. Right, at least one of you Pisces is very, very much still attached to a fire sign. Not all of you are, of course. 2 of Pentacles underneath. Let me see. I want to... Okay. So, for some of you, this seems to be that there could very well be a very domineering fire person, and fire is quite a ferocious element on its own. So this is coming across as somebody who can maybe fly off the handle quite quickly. And that's someone I sense in the workplace, or this could have been someone that dramatically overreacted to something that you did or something that you said. I do think for a lot of you, you may receive a message from an old flame. I don't necessarily know that they are giving you anything concrete. I do think some of you have some sort of connection to somebody in a different country. So I don't know if this is a long distance thing. You want to hear from somebody on the other side of the world. Maybe you're visiting somebody's town and you want to see them, but you don't know how to reach out. And a lot of you are dealing with the possibility of somebody new who's maybe come on a little bit too strong, and you're freaked out because you're thinking of a past person, or you've heard of the past person and you wouldn't really know which one to go for. Actually, with the Hierophant, I do feel like there's somebody who's quite serious about you, or somebody who could be quite long-term material, but you're not entirely sure you're feeling it. You maybe think they're a little bit too much, and they're maybe coming into your personal space a bit and you're feeling a bit suffocated. That's just for some Pisces. Some of you are having trouble communicating with an earth sign person, a Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, and romantically you're maybe not on the same page. I feel like a lot of Pisces people are not exactly on the same page, and I think a lot of it is to do with the astrology of the moment, Venus retrograde. You are trying to balance a lot of energies here. You're trying to balance your time effectively, and I do think the more maybe you try and do that, the more maybe somebody's sort of coming on a bit strong. And it's not because there's anything wrong with the person, it's more to do with the fact that you're finding the energies at the moment a bit overwhelming. And I do think it might be a lot to do with a domineering aspect in the workforce that could be quite dark to you. This just sort of seems to me, Pisces, as someone who's a bit manipulative with the devil. I also think some of you have one friend in your life with the Queen of Wands here who is, the Queen of Wands and the devil. She's one hell of a party person, like great party friend, but may have loose lips. Now, because she's a court card, I'm going to draw a clarifier. Yeah, I think you're definitely struggling with somebody who's putting on a lot of pressure, Pisces. And there's definitely a lot of pressure. Yeah, High Priestess. The best thing you can do is listen to your intuition and remain spiritually grounded. Have spiritual, meditation. Take time out to yourself. The High Priestess is very much about self-care. Follow your intuition. If your intuition is flagging on somebody, and this seems to be somebody kind of new in your life, delay committing yourself to this energy, or delay acting on this energy, because things aren't all as they seem, especially under the energies of the sky. It's better to remain optimistic and not make any direct moves until I would say late November. Don't make any great decisions. Also, don't react too much to things that are happening around you, because things might change very much so in the last 2 months of the year. It's better not to do anything direct at the moment. I think you might be feeling a bit restricted, but this is going to pass. Okay, leave these people to do their own thing. Don't invite them into your space if they're putting on too much pressure or too much demands. Take more time to yourself. But remain optimistic. I think you actually, with the Five of Cups in the positive position, I imagine this is very much more of a Two of Cups situation where you're acknowledging the things that are going right rather than the things that seem to be going wrong. And I actually think the problem here, or the problems that you're seeing, are somebody else's and not yours, which is why it's better not to take it on. If people are actually talking a lot in the workplace about a certain person you've never had a problem with, or in your personal life, don't take on their issues with that person. Remain calm, because the High Priestess can sometimes alert you that there could be a confrontation if you're not careful with this person in particular, this bossy boots right here. Stay in your lane, Pisces, and don't take on their problems as yours, because chances are it's unnecessary drama going on with somebody here, and I think you need to just be sort of mindful of it. Also, as I say, with the fire sign, if there is a fire sign for some of you that has re-emerged, could be a Sagittarius, as I say, a fire sign that's re-emerged, could be a Leo too, obviously. I'll shut up about the signs. Whoever this person is that sort of returned, there could be a controlling aspect to this person you might want to be mindful of. They may also, at the Queen of Wands here, still be attached to somebody, and you might wonder why they got in touch with you at all. The Devil isn't someone you question very much. It's just somebody that does what they do, and it's not necessarily always the right thing. So be mindful of that energy, Pisces. But apart from that, just remember that any problems going on seem to be with somebody else and not you. So don't get sucked into this person's drama, and I'll see you in November. Bye.